What's it called? Remind me.
Redbird Wellness.
Okay. The podcast is called Redbird Wellness.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm back with my amazing friend, Brienne, which, by the way, every single person that has heard our episode has asked me for more, more. So they are just really blown away by what we bring to the conversation as far as the nuance, what is and what isn't true in the health space, how to look at things from a different way. It's so interesting. So I'm recording this in case we get taken down off YouTube. I'm not anticipating that, but crazier things has happened. And I'll just let Brienne also reintroduce herself, but she's the owner of Redbird Wellness. She has a podcast up now, which this will be on her podcast too, which is so exciting. And, private clients and all the things. So Brienne, just introduce yourself. And then today we will literally do a deep, deep dive into food. I'm super excited about that.
Oh, food. Good topic.
Yes.
Primal.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. So my name is Brienne. I am an intuitive health coach. I go through minerals and I work primarily with the lens of German new medicine. So GNM, which is what most people know it as. So I blend both of those together. And the way I like to describe it is, let's pretend like you're sitting at a stoplight. And if you're at a stoplight and you're just filling in your car with gas constantly all the time, which is nutrition, good food, minerals, all the things, but we're stopped at a red light, we can't move. And so if we can't move, what good is the vehicle? What good is the gas that we're putting into the tank? And so if we can actually clear some of the conflicts and trauma and some of the things that have been programmed on a psyche level, which would be the light, and that turns green, plus we've been fueling the car at the same time, we're good to go. We can go on our vacation or our trip. Otherwise we're stuck, right? Like there's no point. We got to have both. So I like to blend both, and that's where I see optimal changes in my patients. If I don't do both, I don't see the same results. So I'll often have people come to me and they're like, I just want to look at my hair mineral analysis. I'm like, cool, but you're going to get kind of stuck. So I like to do both, and I see lasting changes when I do both. And so, that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. Trying to explain it probably would take a lot longer.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And whoever's going to resonate with that will know it by, like, I always talk about, from a Christian standpoint, from a Jesus standpoint, it's like, you can literally judge your health journey by the fruit of it, right? I have so many people come to me and they're literally saying, they'll say, I do coffee enemas, I do all the therapies, I do all the things, yet I still feel like crap. And I'm like, okay, well, how are we renewing the mind? I mix and blend a lot of modalities too. Like I'm more into, so I have a base level understanding of GNM, love the concepts. I also, designed my neuro prompting program where you quite literally renew your mind and reprogram yourself into being well, which is something I believe in. It's not the affirmations of like you're willing yourself. It's you're asking yourself good questions to get clarity, and then you're realigning what is the truth in those questions. So, I like to say people tell me all the time, it's like the chief complaint, I can't sleep. Let's just do a basic one. They come to me, they can't sleep. It's like, okay, well, if you don't trust the person you're sleeping next to, there's a reason why you can't sleep. Right? Or if your liver isn't processing all of the anger, the unforgiveness, like I've had other clients who come to me, starting to do a lot of couples, which is pretty cool, like get the females and the males, which is so fun. But they'll like come to me and they'll have this big issue between them that I sort of can't talk about during the day, and then, it'll keep them up at night, so to speak. And it's like, oh, okay. And then, I'll just wake my husband up with that. And it's like, well, we're primal beings. We're going to connect any way we can. We're going to take it how we can get it. So even if that connection seems sort of dysfunctional, same with like people who get into business partner relationships that are really just built on that. So that was one of the homeostasis resets that me and my husband have been going through, where we built a lot of our relationship on our capacity to work together. But then you go like, oh, okay, like, what do we have outside of work? And I know I sound to some people that's like so bratty. They don't even want something different. Like it makes sense. And I'm like, I can't just show up and like go over spreadsheets with you, do the numbers, do the bills. Like I would actually like to have decent date night or something. So, and then what happens? We develop symptoms. Like we become chronically ill more reactive to things. Like in my case, it's been so interesting in the journey of food, which is what we're going to talk about today, with experiencing on myself, looking at my clients, and then having like this big, body of work in really dispelling lab work lies. It's like, it's so interesting. One common thing that I saw, and I know you're big into the HTMA, like the whole story that an HTMA is telling.
Yeah.
I started to look at food sensitivities and the whole story that, let's just go on, the food sensitivity lab was telling. It was like, oh, okay, there was way more to the picture. Like if you had gotten into a big fight that morning with your husband, you would be reactive to almost all the foods on your lab. Like that's just 100% true. Then people, that was me. I was in a chronic state of fight with two people, my ex-husband and my husband. And it was like chronically reacting to foods at some point. I was just like never in rest and digest. So that got the wheels turning on that. And then the second part of that is I started using, I use a bioresonance device and use it for, so like you use the HMA. You want to call it diagnostics, but it's not diagnostics because I don't care about the diagnoses. I care about what's sticking around.
What it's trying to tell you. There's a story there and you're trying to piece it together, which is more work. It's more creativity versus a doctor that's just looking at a test and they're like, you're showing that you have a reaction to gluten. You're like, okay,
and then you just drive yourself crazy. You're like, God, like, I mean, I don't do, so I do minerals like, okay, here's minerals that you take and your body's adaptogenic. And so here's like the 6 you take and you keep yourself boosted. And then with the caveat that's like, if your diet's great and it's not like mine, you're not on the road all the time. Like there is caveat there, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting. But with food, it was the same way. I never was seeing a lot of true like gluten enteropathy or gluten reactivity. Like I would only see it a handful of times out of like 200 scans. I would only see it like 1 in every 200. So I'm like, there isn't this big pattern of celiac. And all these people would come and be like, oh, I had this food sensitivity test done in functional medicine and I'm reactive to all these foods. And so I'm like, okay, why is that? They also had big patterns of like, narcissistic relationships. So you tell me, let's dive deep into some food stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe we start with like what trends or things you started. What piqued your interest about food?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So first off, it's not the food. And that's the biggest thing. That's the hardest part for anybody to understand because here they have these chronic stomach aches and then they go to the doctor and they're like poking around trying to find something. And then poof, it shows up on the test, this blood test of like, very not a very helpful way of looking at these things. But so it shows up, here we go. It's on, it's on the blood test. We have a gluten intolerance. We are so high that it's celiac. Now let's do an endoscopy, let's look. Oh yeah, the tissue's inflamed. Oh yeah, we totally have, a gluten allergy here going on or a celiac disease. Right. And so they highlight that into the brain, into the psyche. Oh, there's my culprit. Like there's the bad guy. There's the villain. Right. And so now every time you eat gluten, you're highlighting that sucker like every single time. And so anytime you see it, you look at it, it, like we are primal beings. So we are always sniffing out the danger. We are always looking for things that are a problem. So if we are told by, we've all grown up in conventional medicine. So it's something that takes precedence, right? And so we are now being told by a doctor with the lab coat, we're like, oh, we better listen to them. They know their job. They went to school for so many years. They know what they're doing. And so then they tell you, okay, it's gluten. Gluten is your issue or dairy or whatever the problem is. And that is like the worst part of the whole thing because that just tracks that in. So prior to that, could it have been the gluten that was really the problem? Yeah, your psyche could have perceived that during a certain conflicted time, but now you're really highlighting that sucker, right? And so I don't have a highlighter on me. I always have a highlighter on me because the biggest thing that I like to show people is like, let's pretend this is a highlighter. Like you literally are highlighting that food and the psyche doesn't understand the difference between yes and no, go and don't go. It just sees that food. And so now it's on high alert. Like it sees the gluten. Oh, there's gluten there. It's on high alert. It can sense it, taste it. It's very, very, very smart, right? So it knows. So that's one of the biggest things that will come up into play that we're like, okay, is it the gluten or is it not? And so there's so many layers that we have to look at here, because they could have just been told that it was the gluten, but it really isn't. They're like, yeah, I'll eat it and I don't really have a reaction. And I'm like, okay, so our psyche hasn't grabbed onto that yet. So now let's go back to like what else was going on during that time. So when you're getting those stomach aches, if it's not the food, what is it? Right? So we have to look at the environment. We have to look at relationships. Like you said, we got to look at all the things that are going on. And so when we talk about food allergies, we are speaking about something called an indigestible morsel. Okay. And that indigestible morsel is literally explained like this. Somebody took the chocolate chips out of my chocolate chip cookies. Like somebody stole something away from me that was just undescribable. Oh, I can't stomach that. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And so when we say something like that, like, oh, I just can't stomach what they said, I can't stomach what just happened, the body, the psyche hears that, and the body starts to adapt to try to prevent you from having a reaction to something. It tries to adapt for you. And so we're on like this roller coaster ride of just chasing our tail, right? Like just constantly going on and on and on and over and over and over again, when we're not getting to the root problem, because we're just fixated on the food, which is it's so minor in the whole picture. It's like the smallest little detail. So I spend so much time trying just to get them to get off the food track. It's not the gluten. Like if it's not the food that you just ate, what else just happened? And they're like, no, it's the food. And I'm like, okay, I know you're like have a relationship to that, but we've got to detach. We've got to detach for a second, And so the psyche doesn't want to let that go. So oftentimes we'll just push right to it. I'm like, okay, it's the gluten, but what else happened? Right?
Yeah. Right. You're like, it's so hard to bridge the gap because people come to you or they come to me and they go like, but I do have the reaction, right? Yeah. It's like I eat the gluten, I have the rash.
They do.
I have the IBS. Yeah, you're not wrong. And then we have this whole world of like the holistic world fighting with the allopathic world about all the gaslighting, but really they're all gaslighting each other. So it's like really, really hilarious. They're like, oh, you're getting gaslit, saying nothing's wrong. And over here, it's like, oh, you're getting gaslit. Like, well, you have all that wrong. So like, let's just both just do a bunch of pills for life. You know what I mean? I had the most interesting firsthand experience with food reactivity. So yes, my daughter, when she was 12, developed extreme stomach aches. This person is now almost 17. And it was like, at the time, I wasn't clued up to anything external outside the body. I was like just coming out of allopathy, like just on the catalyst of my journey, which is literally why I now can even understand the concept of German new medicine and the body always being like for you and not against you, like to put it in that term, because I like literally walked this out and it was laid out. So she develops this crazy stomach ache situation. And I had a ton of functional medicine friends. I was doing marketing for a clinic at the time, because I was in healthcare marketing for so long. And they were like, let's come in, let's do a full workup. Let's do the bloods. Let's do the stool tests. Let's do it all. Right. Yeah. We did that. It came back with parasites, H. pylori, parasites, H. pylori, dairy, and gluten reactivity. And this is a kid who was like on mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and like raised on like normal kid food. So I was like, that's like literally all she eats. Like there's no, and then but our conflict, I was already aware of. We had two houses, one with a set of humans who was very narcissistic, was very mold of their kids. Like, you're not you, you're me kind of thing. Like you're going to literally do your exact life exactly like me. Like down to now, she's still trying to break those patterns. Like she just walked in earlier, literally 2 seconds ago, and was like, now she's like looking for summer jobs. And it's so interesting to me that of all the jobs we've like lined up and laid out for her, she wants to work at the place her dad worked all through college. And we laugh about it because we're like, we don't laugh as in like, ha ha, that's so funny. We sit back from this point of view now and laugh because we're like, man, people will truly, honest to God, take that connection any way they can get it. Like when they're trying to deal with somebody who's disconnected. So, or a high conflict individual. So her whole life, we have been working this whole, you're only you, you're just you, like you're free to be just you. Once I got clued up to all this stuff. So we go to functional medicine, get all testing. Her dad looks me dead in the face, doesn't believe it, walks out, never goes to another appointment. And I had an absolute breakdown. I'm like, oh my God, if we don't cut the gluten and the dairy, like the Crohn's, like here's the diagnosis. Like, it was there on the lab work. And so interestingly enough, but then I like literally just like heard the Holy Spirit and through my own intuition was like God doesn't say that someone is like screwed like ever. So I just couldn't wrap my brain around that concept. And we were walking that out like in my own life. And that's how I got into like bioenergetics or even just intentions too, like without a bioresonance device, because I ran into get a second opinion from a naturopath who dealt in frequency medicine. And he said, no. If you come out of your reactivity, your chaos, you reset your digestive system, your daughter will heal. Like she will be fine. And he's
Nice.
like, what if you taught her? So he's like, let me get this straight. Dad's not going to change the food, right? He's like, so you have two choices. Either 50% of the time when she comes home, you can be pissed at dad, mad, annoyed about the food, seeing her as broken, or you can literally equip her that food's not scary when she goes back there and whatever they feed her is okay. And feed her however you want in your house, whatever that looks like. And I was like, and then I even bridged the gap to be more laxed in my house because I was like, well, if I at least do it 50% of the time, we'll be like on top of it. But what really happened was the way that she like healed and full healing. Like now this is a person that gets Starbucks with her friends, eats a boatload of dairy, like doesn't care. But she started a stomach flare again this year. Guess what those two flares were directly related to? Her hating school.
Yeah.
She wanted to switch schools. She didn't belong in her schools. And so it's so interesting too that now the conflict is surfacing again when she has more of a sound mind to deal with it. It was, you know, in a sense, just like it's come back as like oh, here we are again. So do you see that with stuff? Like, okay, people have stuff and then they don't deal with it or they get maybe a wrong idea about it. Maybe that's the wrong thing. And then it's like, to me, God's so good. The body's so good that you keep presenting the opportunity to heal, right? Like you're still going to be.
Yeah. That's why doing all the things like the modalities are lovely. Like I love blending with them, but they're just not getting to the root of what's going on, which I don't like to call it even like resolving. Let's get to the root problem and fix all your issues and you never have problems again. I don't think that that's what we should be after. We should be looking at patterns and like learning about who you are, like what you just did with your daughter. Like, so that's fabulous. Like her to understand who she is way more valuable than let's get rid of your stomach problems. Like, no. Like you're missing it. Like, oh man. And kids in general are so we're all very intuitive. Like we should be, but as we get older, we lose that. But kids always feel everything in their stomach. Like, you know, you'll have this kid that's a very intuitive, like very sympathetic child. Like they both have stomach issues. They just perceive things that way, right? And so they present themselves that way. It's like when we say listen to your gut, that's what it is. We need to listen to our gut. Like we need to listen to it. And so trying to tell it to stop is like trying to get rid of all of the newscast. It's like then we're never going to know what's happening in the world. You know, it's our beacon. Like it's the thing that tells us what's going on. And so instead of being afraid of it, we should just teach our kids how to understand it, right? Understand your specific triggers. Like, what is your body trying to tell you? Is it trying to tell you to stop? Is it trying to tell you that now you're safe? And so this kind of goes back to with the way that the two-phase pattern even unfolds itself with German New Medicine. It's very important because what type of stomach ache are we seeing? If we're seeing a certain stomach ache where we're like, oh yeah, we've hit a resolution, it's really important for that person, especially a child, to understand like we're safe now. Like we hit a resolution. There was a problem before. So what did we fix? Like what now are you like able to be okay with, you know, but you were not okay with before. So like you got your chocolate chips back, you know what I mean? Like somebody stole them from you and you got them back. So what was that? And for them to like piece that together and have those clues and be like, oh yeah. Like my friend said this and like she was being awful to me. And now all of a sudden we're good friends again. Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts so bad. It's like, well, there you go. Like you just had a resolution. You just resolved your friendship. So it's like the psyche has an imprint, right? And so the first, I would say like at least 6, but like the first 7 for sure years of our life is imprinted. And so whatever style or like flavor of the conflict that we had It's like there's like a slogan, and it's imprinted on our brain, and it stays there, like on our psyche, it stays there. And so anytime that type of like theme shows up later in life, it's going to react the same way, because we've just been taught, hey, like, this is how you survive. And so pay attention to this, let's highlight that theme. And so anytime that thing comes up, we're going to have a reaction in the body. So
yes. Okay.
yeah.
So for the people that aren't really clued up to what we're talking about, because I think, okay, only like me, you, and maybe Dr. Cassidy, whatever her name is, are the only people on the internet sometimes, it feels like, who are saying like, hey, whoa. Like, what if like nothing's bad, right? Like, what if, yeah, like what if we're all in this big inversion, right? Because I think I've like switched to that, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know what to hit post on anymore, because it's like, you know, you just go like, so many people are just wanting that pill for an ill mentality. Or wanting to blame the thing that's not the thing. So like, when it's so interesting, let's talk about drawing the line. Like, okay, so, you know, the main argument that people will come to you with all the time, I bet, is like, well, like, we can't argue that food's not sometimes good for you, sometimes bad for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know how you respond to that, and then I'll tell you some of my thoughts on that too. But it's like so interesting. The conversation of that, to me, just rabbit holes into like light health and hydration and just all the things, and like renewing the body. Like, do you get that like in your practice? So people, they're like, what do you mean I should just be eating McDonald's? It's like, no, that's not what we're saying.
Okay, so like, to be fair, that was my first question, because I'm coming from a nutritional background, right? And so
totally, you are, yeah.
Into total nutrition school, you know, so it's like, okay, and you know how ridiculous that is, because every time they're changing it, like they will say on one hand, like, you can have this food. Oh, then the next day they're like, oh no, salt is bad. Water is bad. This is bad. You know, so one day they'll say this is good. And then the next day that's bad. And it's just ridiculous. It's just a cluster. While I was going through school and doing that, I was like, this is, I need to like not waste my time. So like I was getting my degree at the same time of like doing all this other exterior work. Cause I'm like, no. So I was like certified in all this other stuff that actually educated me while I was doing the degree, because I was so bored. So I'll have people that come to me all the time and they're like, okay, so I can just eat McDonald's. Like I can just totally eat like whatever I want to. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yes, you can. Yeah, you totally can. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, right.
So I like explaining this for two different things. So one is minerals. So I have the background of minerals, right? And so I'm like, well, are you getting mineral rich, foods from like that food? Probably not, and that also explains a lot of what's going on in the digestive system and in the body, right? So we want to have plush minerals. We don't want to have nothing, because if we don't have anything there, we kind of don't have a cushion to blow. We don't have a safety net, so if you will. So I kind of have the little added benefit of being able to talk about that. So the other side of it would be like explaining to a kid. So I love working with kids, but one of the best things that I like to do is help people understand from a kid's perspective. I do not personally restrict my children from any food, none at all, not anything. And I used to come from like, oh, no, we can't have this. We can't have processed food. We can't have seed oils. We can't have all this stuff. And it's just not realistic at all. Mm-hmm. We can choose to have whatever we have in our home. But what I see with kids is I will say to them, like my kids, I'm like, okay, yeah, you want your Easter candy? Okay, go for it. And they're like, can I have one more? Like, sure, go for it. You have another one? Yeah, go for it. That's totally fine. Are you listening to your tummy? And they're like, yeah, I'm listening to my tummy. They either figure it out one way or the other. One, they'll say, okay, my tummy says stop, which is what we use in our house. My tummy says no. My tummy says stop. So my tummy says, I don't want that. My tummy says, yes, I want more of that. My tummy says, I need sugar. My tummy says whatever. So we listen to tummies in our house. But
I love that. You know why I love that? You know why I love it? Because you're not the idol, you're not the narcissist, you're not the God in their life. Like you're literally like, hey, let's get fully embodied. Like how many of us did not have that? Like I had a narcissistic parent, truly. So I had like this whole situation where until I was like 27, I had no idea I was allowed to do multiple things. Like, it's not
Oh,
like victim. I just didn't have like, I mean, everything was curated. The college I went to, the life I had, the blah, blah. And I was always resisting and fighting against that because I always knew it wasn't exactly aligned. Right. And so I made choices, but then those choices would be called terrible or bad or whatever. And then you go develop this like eating disorder, this indigestible morsel conflict. Also, according to when you're born, you have tendency towards those. So I was like the trifecta for that. Like, I had like, that was like my lesson in life to walk out and learn, which is probably
right.
why my child also displayed some of that,
Correct.
which my son has another lesson, but it's really interesting. So, talk about
Yeah.
generational sin. We did the exact same thing. People called us so crazy.
Oh,
We were
I know.
like, okay, we're like, if I would be like, Lainey, if you eat ice cream and you don't feel good, you have a choice. You don't have to eat the ice cream again today, or you can. That is your choice. And to this day, she will try to outsource her power to me. She will look at me in that fear, right? That psyche, and be like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to eat this because I want to feel good. And I'll be like, what do you feel right now? Like, you want it? And then it'll be
Mhm.
like, there's always a solution and there's
Yeah.
always a learning curve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love that so much. I'm like, I love
Yeah.
that. Not good food, bad food. I'm always
Yeah.
on my husband. Like,
Those
my husband
labels.
will say, like, certain food. He's working on himself. So he's not
Mhm.
doing it as much. But he would say, like, that food's junk or that food's bad or this food, like, it was always like this
Right.
dichotomy of good and bad. And like, I would be like, we're just going to get really neutral with food.
Right. Right. Let's not highlight it. Right. It's
Yeah,
so
that's so
crazy.
interesting that that's the way it works. I did not
Mhm.
know the concept of the highlighter. Like, I'm familiar with, maybe we should give a little bit of background on German New Medicine, but like, I'm familiar with the concept of the brain highlighting
Mhm.
symptoms because of the book, The Mind Body Prescription, but I had
Mhm.
never heard it in that context of from a German New Medicine standpoint. But that would make sense why the lesions on the brain and then it's all sorted out, right? Like, you
Right.
feel
Yeah.
that in the brain.
Yeah. So the psyche is just super black and white. It's just so primal. And I like to view it as like a little baby infant. And so
Huh.
you have to be very, very matter of fact with the psyche. It doesn't see the difference between yes and no. It just hears the word. It just hears whatever it is. So it's like, I don't want to eat that, or I want to eat that. And it just hears that food, that specific food.
So the
And so
psyche is truly like the fluidity of God. It's truly like Holy
yeah,
Spirit, because that's exactly
yeah,
like that. That's blowing my mind right now, because I'm
yeah,
like that's all. God's not also yes and no either. It's like there's a whole experience of life, a whole platter served up, and then there's free will, and then there's like alignment, right? And so it's like, people come to me with all this like legalism mind, and then that's how they get sucked into diagnoses. That's
oh
amazing that we
yeah,
house that, and that's how the psyche works. That's awesome.
exactly. Yeah, and another word for psyche is just like your soul, right? And so
Yes.
it makes sense. It makes total sense. And so German New Medicine's like very, it's not very spiritual, but there are some practitioners out there that view it that way. Very few, but it is oddly very similar. Like, lines up almost perfectly with what God is really trying to give us and teach us. We
Yeah.
literally can heal ourselves. And he speaks of that, right? There's spoken
Yes.
words of this in the Bible. And one of the things that I really love is there, and I'm not very well versed in the Bible, but there's this story where, I can't remember who it is, but there were all these kids were having symptoms, and then Jesus healed them, and they were supposed to not speak of it, right, to the village,
Mm-hmm.
like, don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about it at all. And I can't remember what part of this is, but
Yes.
speaking about it brings it to life, brings the problem back to life
It
again, right?
amplifies it. Yes. It
Correct.
programs. Yes. It puts it right back into the front. I tell people that all the time. My clients, they will rehash their victim stories. And I
Yeah,
know only a handful of good practitioners that when somebody calls them or having like a weekly check in, it's like, okay, you're not allowed to bring up the past because it's honestly dead and gone. And if
yeah.
you want to bring it back up, it's just going to be back alive today.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever those highlighted words are is what you want to pay attention to. And when I'm working with patients and I'm speaking to them, I can really hear like the way they're speaking, and I can tell the story of their life already just by the way they're speaking. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
words that they reuse over and over again, some of the things that they highlight and they talk about. I'm like, okay, this is very important to her psyche, And she doesn't hear that. Yeah, she doesn't know that. She doesn't hear that. She doesn't see it at all. But I'm like, okay, this makes total sense then. So there was something revolved around this that like took your chocolate chips away, right? If it's an indigestible morsel, I'm like, okay, what happened during this time? So we do these really big timelines, and you can see these patterns just like pop up over and over and over again over time. And when you see that, you can paint this picture, this story, and you're like, oh, this is who you are, right? And so instead of being afraid of it or trying to change that or get rid of it, we just help the psyche understand, hey, we hear you, we see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
What infant doesn't want to be heard and seen? They're getting louder cry, louder, more symptoms.
Yep.
That's the body. The body is going to continue to keep yelling and screaming until it's being heard. And until it's being heard the way that it needs to be heard, not this fluffy way of being heard. Like, I hear you. Yeah, great. Like my kids will come to me and they'll be like, Mommy, look. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely. They're like, that's not enough. You need to see that it's purple.
Oh my God, we all do that. I will look straight at my daughter doing something, and she's like the most intuitive. Actually, both of them are. My son's really intuitive too, but I'll look at her and she'll just be like, "You're not actually looking at me," and I'm like, "Right, I'm thinking a lot of things up here."
I'm adulting right now, and I can't go there.
Yeah, you're like, I am just not getting into it. You know, that's so interesting you say that. It literally gives me goosebumps because it's like funny. I didn't like grow up in the crunchy. Like I had my first baby at 20. We did all the outsourcing we could possibly ever do. That's the same baby that had the indigestible morsel conflict from birth. Like we were, told, hey, put on soy, like don't breastfeed, like all the disruptions that you all could think of happened. Like vaccines, soy, breastfeeding, you name it. And it was like, not to mention the conflict from everyone's ideas, ex's parents, my parents. It's just like, now that I do the work with these kids, I'm like, now that I do peds, I'm like, some kids are in contact with like 40 different biofields, like a day. If you throw in like daycare and all that. So she was just never digesting. And looking back at it now, I'm like, oh my God, like that was like the case then. Like that was the case way back. And all that she wanted was a present, and all that her soul was in here to do. And it took me years to figure it out, but we figured it out when she was 12, when it presented itself again, was this present, grounded, powerful mom that didn't outsource everything and just hand her over to be like really insecure. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I'm happy to like own that. Like I own that all the time because I'm helping people own that in their own lives. It's like, it's interesting because it's totally fine that you're not, Bible spiritual. I don't ever ask anybody for that. I do not do religious nature, but I feel like I have like sent it in a weird way. I see the gaps. Like people had asked me about German New Medicine before, and like in my groups and stuff, my groups aren't even like Christian, but they attract Christians because I follow Jesus. It's like, or the what Jesus lays out. And it's interesting because I'll be like, it's not like these modalities, they don't have to be Christian. In fact, that would be a limitation on these modalities. Like, but German New Medicine is totally God. It's totally heal ourselves. Exactly like you said. It's literally like your body empowerment and like on steroids. And when you get into it and figure it out, like I have used it so many times for like now that if I get a symptom, I'm like, what's the event that has directly correlate, what event am I around right now? Like what's just happened? Was there like a fight? Was there a new baby? Like, was there whatever? And, we're always trying to figure that out and look at things from that lens. And instead of, oh, I got this symptom, I need to shut it down. Or I have this symptom, I need to go diagnose it. It's so interesting. I am like freely eating all the gluten lately. And yesterday I was talking to my husband on the way home from our lake trip on Memorial Day. And he's like, and I've put on some weight, but weight is also like a survival thing. And you can, you put it on for a protective thing and all this are to be seen. And I've got a lot else in my personal life that I can't speak of right now. That is like this one event all tied together that is kind of coming to a head. And I said to him, maybe I'm just going to do an elimination for the summer. And he literally looked at me. He's like, right, babe. Like, you don't even believe in elimination anymore. I was like, I know. It's like, it'll fail every time. And then this morning I was like eating sourdough and eggs. It's like, no, I'm not doing elimination. So what do you do with it's interesting with your clients. If they want to do the elimination thing, That's fine. That's great, right? They should do it.
Mhm.
But do you sort of track? Do you see people do eliminations that still have like the issue going on, like the constant
Oh,
issue, food issue?
absolutely. I get a lot of kids. It's really sad. I get a lot of kids that have just been down to nothing. Like they're eating oatmeal and water. It's like, and these poor kids, they just nothing, just nothing. They can't have anything. And, the moms are just so stressed out. The parents, the mom and dad are fighting. It's like there's so much chaos going on in the family because of just all the elimination diet.
Yeah.
It makes it really, really difficult because it's not normal. It's not natural. It's not literally it's not the problem. And so I got to go into the weeds with them. And I can't, if it's a child, I really got to work with the parents. So most of the time I'm working with mom. It's always mom. It's always mom. It's always mom.
Okay, let's talk about that because that's exact same in my practice. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I won't work your kid standalone. Like, especially if that kid is birth through 7. But if that kid is still under your spiritual house, so that kid is like not an adult living out on its own or hasn't, in some cases, if a child who's, in the teens, like 15 to 17 or whatever, and they're really solid or have kind of like accepted Jesus as their own and has her whole life going, like I'm like, all right, we'll talk about that. But why? I want you to tell all my peeps why.
So I'll still take them because I've had some cases where the mom or the parents are just so so disrupted and in their own little mess that they actually can't like understand that. But everything really comes passed down from the parents, right? Especially, I mean, the mom, then utero. Like we go all the way back into in utero. Like what was the mom going through? Interestingly enough, I find most every conflict starts there, right? And so it's really interesting to see. So I like to talk to mom. I don't have to talk to mom, but oh my gosh, I really need to talk to mom, right? Like we can't really resolve all the way until we do so. Because, well, she needs to understand her child, but the child is looking to the mom all the time. Like that is that's their safety. Dad's supposed to be the provider and mom is supposed to be the one that's like the gooseling, taking all her gooselings in and like helping them. And if that is missing from the picture, you're like in quicksand. The child's in quicksand. Like we can't get that kid out. We can patch, which I do. I find myself patching all the time. I help them kind of gain their own individuality and help them kind of just get their feet back on the ground. But they will always fall short without the mom on board.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Every single time. Every time.
Yeah. And without the resolve of mom too, like for sure. Like, cause I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to be listening to this at some point and be like, what if mom's not there? And what's really interesting in my practice, at least, is I'm like, mom's always there. Like, if mom died, mom's influence is still there. If you're adopted, primal mom's influence is still there. Like there, if you were a surrogate, like there's so many different instances there where we could, go down a real rabbit hole, but we don't have to today. But it's like the influence of your parents and your mom, the mother brings the nurture to the home. So especially it's so funny, the big reactivities. I haven't dove deep into dairy, but I've dove, which I know is a thing, but then I got kind of like nuanced about that. My husband and me were a part of a dairy farm. He's generational, 4th generation dairy farmer. So he's been dairy farming and we left that in 2020. We completely started a new life. So from a dairy standpoint, I understand the conventional side of it and how we've changed the proteins and how we don't digest it properly. Like I get that. I don't have as much of a problem with raw dairy. I actually think it's the quality that you're more reactive to. With gluten, it's really interesting. There's arguments about the glyphosate and all that stuff, but gluten, from my understanding, is a woman food. So it's a grain wrapped in like a casing, which mimics like the womb. So to my understanding, a lot of people that react to gluten are actually have a mother wound or nurture conflict. Is 100%. That true? I'm like, am I tracking there? Is that true? So
100%. And so here, this gets even more interesting. So if we look at the actual wheat kernel, right? So we're looking at the actual berry of the wheat. We're knowing that one is supposed to come with the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, right? It has to come with all of that.
The Holy Trinity. That's insane. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the endosperm, if we're looking at German new medicine, okay, indigestible morsels are dealing with the endoderm layer, the germ layer of the brain, the endoderm. And so when we're looking at that, it's the brainstem. It's the oldest, most primal way of looking at, our health. Like it's the first thing that we really need to have in line. That's the first step. And so it does go all the way back to the primalness of being in utero. It really does. So if you do look at the actual like germ, like the actual, it's encapsulated, like you said. And so because of that, it does go back to it. My story is very similar to that. I had gluten intolerance. I still have gluten tracks, right? And it's
same.
so
I mean,
crazy.
I will get puffy still.
Yeah.
It's like I'll eat it. I'm not calling myself celiac. I don't have the IBS stuff really, but I mean, I still have indigestible morsel complex that happen on the regular.
You know what's really funny is I've tracked mine down so much that if I'm around my mom and I have gluten or dairy's another big track, right? Because of the breast milk from the mom. So that one's really fun to get
never
through.
connected that. Okay. Yeah. Like now I'm being educated. I'm
These
like,
two
why
are
is it
so common?
Why? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm around her and I resolve something, like I resolve my own identity around her, or like I don't have anger anymore, I hit a resolution, I get a stomach ache if I'm eating that gluten at the same time. So it's like, yeah, you can be the animal that like bypasses the berry bush that like made you sick, that gave you like whatever, or you can just eat it and have the stomach ache. And so, I'm presented with food, especially if we go out to eat and I'm with my mom, I'm like, oh, what do I want to eat? Like, can I like be on the daring side and just whatever, let's have some gluten and some dairy and then have a stomach ache and whatever, who cares? My body's listening. Awesome. Nice. Or do I just want to stay away from it that day? Your choice, freedom of choice.
Right. Yeah. Free will. Absolutely. Like, I'm like, again, you're so right. Like, depending on your vibe too. Like, I realized like my first experiment with gluten was literally like, this is going to sound so crazy, but I got into like what I feel is like my most authentic self outside of my mom, kind of in my early 30s. And we started like competitive dance, and we are always traveling with like a bunch of dance moms, and like not dance moms like the show, like genuinely amazing people. And like, it's so funny because I used to be sort of like this protected, edgy, guarded outsider, like because of my own shit. Had nothing to do with everybody else. Like I just wasn't in the mindset yet that they could all be them, and that was great, And I was like in all that, and then I was just like, oh, like I'm the one that's like gluten free, It's like sounds so lame now, even though like, it's fine. Like, and honestly, no one was like cared. Like everyone was like, cool, yeah, okay, or not. You know what I mean? So, but my first kind of arena into exploration out of fear was, I was just like, no, like what we all do, or what all of these people do who are like skinny, happy, cute, like fine. They like eat pizza, like drink, like they're fine. Like living the dream. Like I'm not saying they're like drunks, because I don't want one of my friends to hear this and say I'm like saying they're drunks. That's not the thing. Okay? They literally like just live normal lives. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean normal like in the abnormal way either. Like I'm like, they're just living the dream, doing whatever.
They're just doing their thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They care very little about food and quality of food. Like that's not their priority. And here I am like making that my priority and still feeling like crap. And so it's like, well, that's really interesting. And the more that I have like strengthened myself as like, and come out from under like narcissistic trauma and stuff with my ex and blah, blah. And that has been layers. Like people don't realize I'm so into not rushing the process now, because I'm so into the zodiac and like timing, and that God's timing is like so much better than mine, that I'm like freakily okay with symptoms, like to the point of where most people aren't. But I'm like, as I've unpacked the layers, like my kids have aged and all that stuff, everything's just gotten different and better and less. And like, I'm like, God, like my quality of life is so fun,
Oh yeah. Like when you learn to not fear the symptoms and you're just like, oh, they're just talking to me. Like
I'm like, we'll just take some photos and move on. You know what I mean? Like it's
which
not a big deal.
Is not what they want, by the way. They want us stuck in fear. They want us stuck in this like we need a prescription. We are in fear. You need, both sides of the evil, right? And so we have like naturopath, and then we have, conventional medicine. It's both sides. Hi. Aw.
But Okay, we got to talk about the brainstem too. All right, my
For
pin
sure.
post on my Instagram is about the brainstem and about
Ah,
looking at that and doing diagnostics. I came across I've been doing a body of work for 2 years on autoimmune disease, and celiac and all that falls under that. So autoimmune, let's call it auto self reactivity. And I ended up with my bio device starting to scan the sensory processing system and the brainstem first versus
mhm,
doing everything else. And I mean, we scan
mhm.
the whole body all the time, but it was just like I kind of took a select group of people, like 50 women, and just like started working the brainstem. And I found, and I know this is something that you're really into, that there was always it wouldn't show up necessarily like gluten reactivity, but it would show up a mother wound, out of
Yeah.
balance in the feminine, and several different ideas about the feminine in the brainstem. So gender
Interesting.
distortion was one of them. Adipositional dystrophies, the frequency that it comes up as. Um, you
So
know,
that would be second trimester then.
I
That would be,
guess, like,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
So
not
second trimester is a lot of the time where we're actually looking at the genders for the babies, right? And
okay.
so if there's an indigestible morsel tied to that, it would have been in the second trimester. So a lot of times moms are finding out, like, or maybe like for me back in the
Yeah,
day, it was
yeah,
like, he's a boy. And so my parents thought it was a boy. Like they only had like one ultrasound back then, so it
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
he's a boy. It's totally a boy. So they bought blue everything. I was a boy. And it was my dad's only child, and he was like getting his boy, and he was so excited. And then here I'm born, and I'm a girl, right? And so
Yeah.
I have all these tracks around that, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, second trimester is a big one.
So interesting, right? And like, I'm like, that's our like first like primal kind of like development is the brainstem, right? So it's like
Yeah.
where we're developing. And so when I was looking at these patterns, like, I mean, I studied terrain theory too, not germ theory, but everything from like, I often see, the pregnancy viruses that the OBGYN screen for, like trichomoniasis, bacterial vaginosis,
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Those will show up in the brainstem, um, which is usually a conflict about some kind of like who you are as a female or who you are as a male. And I actually think it's like tracks way back to like church deception and everything else, but I could probably rabbit hole that. But I think
Oh,
it tracks way back because like we have a version of God right now that is a counterfeit version. It's all masculine God, all masculine
mhm,
Trinity. Like the church
mhm.
really erased like the Mother Earth in the story and like demonized it. Like they erased the earth, like crystals, all that study of the zodiac, like the mother, the grounding. Even
Mhm.
in the original Lord's Prayer, it's oh Father, Mother. They took all that out. So there's a whole bunch of generations of confusion, distortion, which is specifically what it comes up as. So I even have theories on how the whole LGBTQIA is probably the extreme manifestation of that because we always see an extreme manifestation. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting. Like when you start looking at the body with proper diagnostics,
Mhm.
what you find. So, question: if somebody runs like a general HTMA, because that seems to be the one that everybody hangs on to, like you cannot tear it out of their cold, dead hands. Like even my clients who I have worked with, who are like, I'm like, look, we resolve you. Here's the visual. Like, here's the
Yeah,
books.
yeah.
Here's all of it. They're like, should I go get an HTMA? I'm just feeling a little low. I'm like, God,
Oh
Jesus.
no.
But like,
Yeah,
when
that's
you,
like old school HTMA. Like the way I used to read it was like, oh, you're low in this mineral, then you need this mineral. Like that is not a thing. And people can really mess that up and read that wrong. Like you do
yeah,
not
well,
read
and I'm not
HTMA.
throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I want to know, like, would you use an HTMA and how? Like, I literally am curious because I'm not
Yeah.
knocking anyone's method of testing. I'm actually genuinely curious.
Yeah. So, okay. So an HTMA is a lovely test, but I don't think very many people understand how to read it in general.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then if you break it down from a G&M perspective and understand the body is for you, not against you, and there's nothing wrong with you. Like we can't
Mm-hmm.
manipulate your minerals. It's like
Mm-hmm.
showing me a picture to people that I know
That's
of.
amazing.
Yeah. Like me and my friends, right? Like nobody
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
And so
That's
there's like
amazing.
nobody understands it that way. So when I have people come to me with their HTMA, they're like, oh yeah, like they told me I have this and I have that. And I'm like, okay, yes, but it was doing that for this purpose. right? And so you can't trick your way out of these minerals that are showing up and presenting on an HTMA. And so you can't see it and be like, oh yeah. So like I can just supplement calcium and then like, or stop calcium or stop vitamin D and then start doing this and then it'll shift. It's like
you can't biohack your way out of like the brain is what we're trying to say.
Correct.
You can't bullshit yourself.
Yeah. So what I like to say are like minerals are so vital and so important. They really are the foundation of our health, but they are like sitting ducks, right? They just like sit and wait until we resolve these big conflicts or have these big energy shifts, if you will. And when that happens, we'll see the minerals actually move where they need to move. I have done way too many HTMAs, and then we've done all the things. And then in like a year, their HTMA is the same. It's literally the same. It hasn't even moved. And they're so just
back to the thing they didn't resolve, right? Like, or they're the same environment that made them sick, correct? Like that's my
correct. Okay. Yeah. So nothing shifted. And so minerals are, I wish we could do more minerals from environment, right? And so you sit down and you eat. And you could be having the most lovely nutrient dense foods, but you are in a awful environment. You aren't going to absorb those minerals. They are not going to absorb. I'm sorry, they're not going to. And so you could eat McDonald's and sit in a lovely environment and absorb more minerals than you would if you were in a bad environment with the most nutrient dense foods you can have. No joke.
Right. And let's not discount. I mean, I've seen some work on this. I don't have a ton of like, if somebody's wanting studies, you can't find those for me because I'm more intuitive. I'm like, if the Holy Spirit like puts something in my face and I think it resonates as true, I'm like, true. Like, I don't need to tell myself. Right. Like, I don't need like all the studies, right? I don't need to tell myself 20 times. I'm just like, true. I have heard that we get the majority of our minerals based on breatharians, like people who survive solely off breath, that we get the majority of our minerals from the sun and the environment anyway. Like that's what I've heard is we walk out and we resonate with minerals and we pick and choose like what we need, and our disruptions create the repelling.
Yep. And we do it intuitively all the time based off of what we need every time.
That's amazing. I mean, that's like not even when the Christian church used to pitch to me this concept of like, can you stop? Of like, you don't even have to work for it. You just have God, you know, like that was like the whole thing in the Christian church. It was like, you know, the once saved, always saved crowd, like the non-denominational Christian crowd. They're like, you don't have to work for it. It's just, you have it. I used to be like, how? But then when I studied like frequencies and vibrations and resonance and all that, I was like, oh, like that's how, like there's like a whole current of language going on. Because you and me talked on our first podcast about iron and fear and touched on that. And oh man, I'd love to talk about like, so do you get people that come to you and they're like, what should I be eating if I'm pregnant? Like, what's the ideal prenatal environment? Or what should I be eating if I have cancer? Like, let's talk about that.
Oh gosh, yes. So, you know, because my background is in nutrition, they're like, where's my meal plan? You know, like, where's my diet plan? And I'm like, oh boy, okay. I have to be very clear up front. Like, I don't do that. Like, that's not going to be beneficial for you at all. Like, I'm teaching you how to intuitively eat. Right. Yeah. Intuitive eating is so different. It's so different. It's like there's hands off. Like everybody can just do whatever they need to do. So I'll have some like I'm pregnant and I'm craving potato chips. Like all I want are potato chips. And I'm like, you better go eat your potato chips then. Like you need to go eat them. Right. And they're like, oh no, but they have seed oils. And I'm like, it trumps over the seed oils. Like you need potassium. Like you need the sodium and potassium. Your body clearly needs that. And this is the way that it can get it the quickest, the fastest, the most digestible way to get it, right? And so this is what it's asking for. We need to listen to that. So yeah, that's a really, really common one. That's a big one that I get all the time. And most every mom, every pregnancy, it's potato chips. I'm not kidding. Almost down to a T. If they're low in sodium,
they need potassium. You're like, you're actually dehydrated on a cellular level, and that's also why you have morning sickness. Congratulations. Right. No, that's literally, I went viral and got absolutely slayed by the crowd on the internet for saying that your morning sickness is literally mineral deficiency and it's cellular level dehydration. Like it's fetal level dehydration. So it's like,
Yeah.
but honestly, the pregnancy before this is really not a lie. My fifth baby, me and my husband were in such a bad place, like such a bad place. Like, and nobody did anything. I'm always clear about this. There was no biggies like adultery or anything like that. There wasn't anything like that. It was like, it's one of those things where you just go like, wow, we're really on a different planet, each of us. We need to figure out ourselves and come back together. And so that was kind of like the thing. And I got pregnant in the middle of that bad place. And we were really like, I was really like, wow, if I don't get the nurture, I'm just not going to survive this. Cause I was trying to like really just unpack like a couple things. And all I wanted that pregnancy was like PB&J sandwiches, muffins, bread, like give me all the gluten and all the carbs. And like, I felt amazing. I gained the least amount of weight. And it was so interesting because when I had the baby, and then was really under mineralized. But that was just on me. I had 3 back-to-back babies in 5 years and an extreme amount of stress. My tendency was to be like, well, the reason I can't lose this weight is because it was all gluten, right? But I now had a bioresonance device and could scan myself and ungaslight myself. And I was like, no. And I don't show a thyroid challenge. Like I don't show any of that. I literally just like needed nurture. Like it was like so interesting. Like, and I would like, it was like, and he like, we're cool with us talking about this publicly because we have, but I started like eating and snacking late at night because he like stopped coming to bed. So it was like such an interesting, like needs meeting strategy, I guess I'll call it. Like now I haven't like shamed myself for it, but I've taken like a good look at, and that actually got me a lot on board with like the concepts like that you teach. And then, German medicine, it came across your profile, and then, stuff I've tried to teach my groups as well. It's like, you're always doing what you need to feel okay. Like you're okay. And if you're rejecting it so much, or if you're trying to go against it all the time, then you're really doing yourself a potential disservice. Like
remove the shame.
Was the easiest, amazing pregnancy. Like it was great. I'm like, so I don't know. I'm a fan of the potato chip thing.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And so the thing too is if you can resolve conflicts when you're pregnant, it's seriously like showing your child firsthand how we can resolve these things, for the rest of their life. Like it's possible. And so that's my biggest kick is I love when I get women that come to me and they have all these things that are going on with them and they have just enough that they resolve some of these conflicts that they get pregnant. And then when they get pregnant, I'm like, yeah, let's go for the gusto now while you're pregnant, right? So let's show your child in utero, like we can shift these guys. Yeah.
I seriously love pregnant women too. I think pregnancy is like this God-given spiritual birth portal for us, like to stop generational sin. Like I literally believe, or to face it, like, or whatever we're supposed to do in our path of alignment. Like it's definitely way more highly anointed than the world acts like. And so, it's just wild.
You can even get political on this, which we won't, but like, we're not seeing as many births anymore. We're not seeing as many, we're seeing infertility that's so high. And it's like, what's going on here? They don't want that. They don't want you to be intuitive. They don't want you to have intuition. They don't want you to know who you are. They want to kind of manipulate and tell you what to do, which is pure evil. It's just not natural. It's like not what we're supposed to be doing. Right. So yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of like you, in a sense, do like environmental medicine. I always say I do environmental medicine, even though I'm not trained in environmental medicine, so to speak, with a degree. But I'm always like, my body of work is more environmental.
It's true.
Internal. So, I mean, anything else important that you want to touch on with food? Like I'm here for all the things. I mean, I could just go into food lies, like eat the rainbow and all this stuff. I'm not saying that's lies. I'm saying food has this amazing power. Like I read some really anointed like people with food and I'm like, oh my gosh, them telling me to eat like the whole fruit and all the parts of the food, like all that's a beautiful gift to us. Like, but this food fear is like so stressful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, creating so many indigestible morsels. It's crazy. Yeah. It makes it really, really hard. You brought up parasites, and I think parasites, like, I got slayed on the internet too. Instagram, like,
Oh,
annihilated with parasite awareness. Oh my gosh, it's not even funny. So parasites are a big one. That's a huge topic right now. So we can talk about that one if you want to, because that is a
yeah.
big part of the indigestible morsel, like a
Oh, I
huge
didn't know
part.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
let's
Play
totally go
cancer.
there because I
And so we're
love
gonna, like, kind
parasites.
of shift here. Okay. So yeah, parasites are a big one. They're really big.
Mhm.
So let's see. Let's go all the way back. Parasites. We can't, so they're actually the good guys, which is really hard for people to wrap their head around.
Yes.
But they're the big guns. They're the primal big ones that come out, and they're the ones that are trying to come in and fill up all the things that have happened, that have gone on in the conflicts, right? We're big resolutions, huge
Yeah.
ones. Usually we'll see it with cancer. And so when we're seeing parasites come in, we know if they're showing up that we need them. We need those guys. So
Mhm.
this is the theory of GNM with microbes, right? So microbes are good. We want them on our side. So bacteria, germs, viruses, parasites, all these things are actually the cleanup crew. We want them. So if we do all these antibiotics, we're creating these quote unquote super bugs, but the super bugs are literally just our bodies bouncing back and saying, we're going to continue to keep having these microbes because you're going to die if you don't have them. Like, you need
Yeah.
them. Right. So we are pretty much germ.
Yes. Yes.
So parasites are actually very beneficial, and they're very helpful. And this is exactly what I got slammed for, because everybody is on this huge kick of like, parasites are what's causing cancer, and you need to, parasite cleanse. And if you don't parasite cleanse, you're going to have cancer. And like, it's just this really big wrapped around hoof. And
So true.
they are so needed to help you heal and break down things. So, looking from an HTMA perspective, if somebody has high metals, like heavy metals, and they're showing like some iron imbalances and copper imbalances, there's probably a good telltale sign that there may be some parasites going on here.
Yeah.
And if there are, that's good. I'm like, great, we have them on board. Where we get into problem is when we don't have them on board, when we don't attract them, or we are completely parasite cleansing constantly. Like this Pin and ivermectin kick that everybody is on, trying to do that to prevent cancer or get rid of tumors or all these things. You're chasing your tail constantly. And it's really scary because you're not having the God-given microbes in our environment that are put there for a reason and attracted into your body for a reason to help you get through the phase. So they're there to actually help repair. So speaking of indigestible morsels, they're going to be a tissue that are rising up. And so if there's tissue, a polyp, a tumor, whatever it is, there's tissue rising up, we need to break that down. And in order to break that down, we need microbes. And the big guns are the parasites. Those guys got to come in and start to break all that down when there's a resolution. So, you kind of want them on your side, and most people are trying to get rid of them, and you don't want to get rid of them because you're going to be left with an encapsulated tumor. That's just that's what happens.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, all right. If you don't see parasites on someone's HTMA, because sometimes I do see like a polyp and don't see a parasite, they often go hand in hand though, which you're right. They'll show up at the same time. What's the solution for that? Like, how
So
do you
they're
bring them
either
back?
not needed. Yeah. So they're either not needed in that phase, or they're in the tissue where they're not coming out. You know how we say, oh, we
Like
did all
they're
this.
not ready. They're not coming out yet. I
We
see.
don't have them. And it's like, no, maybe you do. They're just gearing up. And so how heavy the conflict load is, they're gearing up. I promise you, you are attracting them. You are gearing up for them because you need a resolution. And so they're just like sitting there waiting. They're the army. They're sitting there waiting. And then as soon as like that resolution it's war, let's fight, they come out to play.
Well, on that, it's so funny you say that because so with my bio device, I can scan for parasites and then I do like live clearing. So a lot of times, like I'll have someone do I'll do a scan and do my neuroprompt and send a round of metatherapy to the body just to see what shifted. Which yes is it is forcing a change, but it's not getting rid of. It's like it's showing you how highly or not highly you resonate with something or an
Right.
idea, belief system. So
Right.
it's really interesting. My device that I sell comes with a manual, an operations manual, 185 pages, and it is like a still, kill, destroy. Like it's like, here's the parasite screening, here's the da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
And I invented an entire school that's not the manual that is talking about, okay, like here's how we're actually looking at these scans, running them on the body. Here's the new paradigm, right? And that's called the Soul Sync School of Medicine. And it's interesting because with parasites specifically, I started studying parasites and I would often see them show up on a scan. And then if you ran the meta therapy, which is just the sun and the moon in my device. So in some frequency devices, they've got a little thing injected in there that's counterfeit. I won't call it new age because I don't believe in that word, but that's counterfeit. So it's not like AO scan you see, they'll be like, oh, I'm sending the abundance prosperity frequency. It's like, who made that up? The abundance prosperity frequency is 432 hertz. It's love. Okay. It's not anything else. It's literally like the sun. Like, yeah, like it's for real. Like somebody showed that to me the other day. Like I actually have a picture of their book of all their frequencies of the organs. And I was like, that's a complete lie because I have a device and the organs all carry a harmony frequency that's the same and it's all love. Yeah. And then once something is harmonized past, you're optimal. And once something's not in harmony, you're lower than love. So it's your vibration is lower. So it's the most interesting paradigm shift that I've visually gotten to be a part of. And it's been like a real honor. And so it's like, and no one was teaching like this. So it's like, I don't care. We're pioneering, me and you. We're happy to sit here and pioneer, right? It's like, I knew because the Holy Spirit said, hey, you're a soil microbiome. Like you're all of it. You're the fungus, you're the mold, you're the parasites, you're the bacteria, you're the germs. I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's like we are the realm. Like we are the earth, like light, photons, water, soil. Like that makes sense. Yep. And I could see parasites come and go as easily as like basically someone would say like, I'm myself, only myself, and I embody only God's truth. And then these parasites would change what they were there to do, like resonate at a higher frequency or not. Okay. So fascinating. Because I'm like, here's the deal. Like you're right about them activating and always being there and not also not always being there. Like there's a really serious energetic component to a parasite. Like that if you, like you said, if you need one and you encounter it, you pull it in. Like, like you, and if you're constantly like, I mean, I'm someone too who I do a ton of coffee enemas, like a ton. I've been doing them for 2 years. I do like one every 2 weeks at a minimum. And I'm like, I never am looking for parasites in the bowl of the toilet. And every time I've ever seen something in the toilet, it's always undigested food. It has never, ever been something that these bloggers show. And so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And there's a reason because I'm operating in this like forgive, release, let go, like this constant internal body reset, like what you're talking about with like renewing the mind. It's like not outsourcing yourself to the idol of the therapy, right? It's like the coffee enema opens up the liver pathway, which is the anger center of the body and helps with indigestible morsel conflicts. Right. So freaking fascinating, man. Parasites are like this endless parasite cleansing to me it's madness.
It's goodness. Well, talk about no minerals anymore.
Minerals.
We're self-detoxing machines. We know when to press the gas or the brakes. We need minerals. If you keep spilling all your minerals, you have nothing to happen. And so here I get these people that come to me and they're literally so deficient in minerals. And they're like, well, I did like 6 parasite cleanses and heavy metal cleanses. And I'm like, you borrowed every little part of what you had, like how are you standing?
Yes. Like I'm so sick and now I have Lyme and I'm so sick and I'm like, okay, and you're going to be on like 30 supplements for the rest of your life trying to catch up.
Exactly.
Not inspire your doctor.
So when you go back to like what you were saying with the frequencies, that's so interesting because if you're heavily conflicted, you have a lower frequency. Like that's just going to happen. We have heavy conflicts. And so you are probably going to attract parasites. And so you're attracting parasites because they need to be there on par, ready to go when we hit a healing phase to be used.
That's right. And when you own your shit, like when you finally are ready to raise your vibration and own your stuff, There's no way out but through. I tell my clients that all the time. I'm like, there's no way out but through. You're not going to outrun stop even calling it like a Herx reaction and just call it like a welcome stop point or something else. Like, I'm like, because like, if you are someone, let's say, I'll just use one example. Let's say you're a female and this is me. You were in corporate America. You ran all 4 cylinders. You just blah, 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 blah. No amount of chaos was too much. You just take it on all the time. And then you get chronically ill and you need to be basically in bed for like 8 months. Like, okay, we probably needed that after 30 years of running.
Yeah. You needed to rest. So you're going to put yourself there. Yeah. It's really
the amount of force and timing. Like, here's what's so wild too, is that your timing, you can't just spiritually bypass like the body. Like, your body won't heal until it's safe enough to heal. Like, my body wouldn't process all the conflicts with my mom until I got into a very safe marriage and a very trusting situation. And then suddenly it was like, okay, we can do this because you have safety. And I think some people just never get into that place, right? And they just, it's super chaotic.
So I'll have people that come to me and it's like layers, like an onion or lasagna, whatever you want to call it, but it's layers. And their main one that they come to me for is usually the one that we need to be looking at first. If we don't look at that one first, we don't get them into a safe space because they think that's the worst one. It's oftentimes not. It's oftentimes not the worst, but it's the one that's the most roadblocked for them. So if they don't see a resolution with that, they can't reach all the other layers. And so I'll have them stay with me for a long period of time. Like, we're talking a couple years even. Sometimes I've had clients for 2 years now that just keep hitting those deeper layers. And it's smart for them to keep doing it, but they realize like, wow, I couldn't have ever gotten here unless I did that first one, because that was the one that was trying to protect me the most.
Yes.
Like,
right. That's amazing. That's literally like, that's the deep work. That's the work all the intuitive women healers are, like, in my opinion, put here to do right now. Even if we get like persecuted, I feel like it's like Salem 2.0. Like, I'm like, it's fine. I'll get like energetically like burned at the stake for this. I don't care. Like, I'm like, if like 12 people get it, I'm good.
Exactly.
There is abundance like in that kind of truth, because I just see it over and over. Like, I'm like, God, in the holistic community, I have to like really restrain myself because I have like a fighty personality. I have to restrain myself from just like screen grabbing everything and like calling them out. Like, I'm like, stop these clickbait insane memes that's like, oh my gosh, like 1 minute you're like young and fun, and the next minute you're on like 40 supplements and you have to wear blue blockers and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, God, can everyone just like cut it out in their victimhood, like, and just go live their lives?
Totally. Yeah. Those people have got it made, right? Yeah. And so a lot of times you don't see the symptoms either when you're conflicted. Most of the time it's called like the silent stage, right? And so you're not going to feel anything, see anything, or anything's going to really happen until we hit a resolution, or we've built up so much tissue that now we have a blockage, right? So we're really not going to see a lot of symptoms. So people are like, oh, I'm good, I'm great, everything's fine. And then that explains why they quit their job, or they end the relationship, or they do whatever, and they hit a resolution. And then, oh my gosh, now I have chronic illness and all these symptoms that are going on. And it's like, well, we had years and years of confliction. You just didn't feel anything. So people that are walking around saying they're healthy, we're doing air quotes here, we don't really know. Are you conflicted or are you not?
Yeah. We don't know. So, I mean, just to like, for sure, also wrap it up so everybody's understanding is when you hit the symptom, like the chronic illness, you're in really the height of the resolution, correct?
Yeah.
Like you've made a choice or
a resolution.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Because that's like, isn't that like the epi crisis or something? Like, that's like,
right. Yeah. So like, I love dealing with sneezes, because sneezes are the easiest thing. We all sneeze. The sneezing is the epi crisis, but you hit a resolution. So here's a good example, right? It's like, I drop something. Okay. And I'm so irritated that I keep dropping things. Like my arm is messed up or something, and I keep dropping stuff. Something is a problem. And then, oh my gosh, I'm finally able to pick it up. And it was a stink conflict. It was a conflict of like, oh, what a bummer. I keep dropping. That's how my psyche perceived it. And then as soon as I pick it up, it's like, oh, there's the resolution. And then boom, there's a sneeze. Right.
Okay.
And so it's when we hit the resolution. So we've been trained to the complete opposite. It's flipped. So the whole time we're like, oh man, I'm sick. Something's wrong with me. It's like, no. You actually hit a resolution. Let's back up the bus. What was going on that you just resolved? Like what was a bummer and it's not a bummer anymore.
Yes. I'm like, gosh. And you can apply that to all pain, all stomach aches, all the situations in your body that you would be told, quote unquote, to shut down, or that's a symptom, or to be like afraid of. The biggest one is when we taught our kids recently, like they're terrified of throwing up. Like nobody wants to have like a quote unquote stomach bug, which is which is not even what we call it anymore, but it's like, it's like the most known term. It's like you hit a stomach bug. And then I have like a bunch of moms and people in my sphere who will be like, but there is a bug. Yes. It's like, there probably is a parasite unleashed there to do whatever it needs to do for what you encountered. Like no question on that. But it's like, it's so funny because our kids will be like, they're like terrified of throwing up. And we like teach them, we're like, if you're throwing up, the body's like so good at getting stuff out. It doesn't want there. Like, it's like, it's literally just like, embrace it. Just be like, yes, like, thank you, body, for like either putting me into like a fasted state or like getting whatever out that I did. Even basic, like, you ate something and it wasn't great for you at that time. So you need to like throw up. It's like, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So throwing up is a really big one for me. It's like arachnophobia for me. Like it's my biggest fear. I hate it. I haven't allowed myself to do it since I was 12. I mean,
what? That's amazing.
Hate it. So like I can't speak to that one, but I can tell you that it's an indigestible morsel with
myself. What do you do when you have to throw up, or do you just not do it? Your body's like, no.
Honestly, I think a lot of what I've learned has helped because I will experience the nausea. Like I will absolutely, but then I kind of freak out. But you don't have to throw up all the time unless your body is literally needing to get it out. It's really the nausea. So the nausea is actually the healing phase of anger. So it's an indigestible morsel with an anger complex. So then you're not angry anymore. So now I know my tracks. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to stay away from those suckers, right?
Yeah. So that's why they say nausea is always related to the liver then. I didn't realize that. My naturopath would tell me, he would say liver gallbladder if you're nauseous. And I would always be like, no, stomach. And he'd be like, no, liver gallbladder, like always.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all of that in the small curvature of the stomach. It's all the anger. It's all anger.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I have to wrap this because I have a client, but I'm like, this whole parasite conversation has given me life. We have to, we'll do cancer next. We may have to do like a super secret link for cancer. Gosh, last time I went over cancer, I literally got taken down off YouTube. It's fine. Which is so weird because like I see totally bigger people doing it in a way that I'm like, it's fine. I just won't ever push like the follow-up, which is either like the lab work or the testing or whatever. So I'm like, that's funny. But I want you to come back and for sure do cancer. I'm so like appreciative of food. I don't know if we touched on, but maybe we can like touch on this next time. Like when someone develops like an eating disorder or like disordered eating, like that, would that be the resolution as well or no? Like what is that? It's like, I'm curious from a German new medicine standpoint what that means.
So an eating disorder would have to go into constellations. So constellations are a double conflict. And so it's hitting the brain hemisphere and explains the psychoses. So it explains a lot of what's happening on in the brain. That would be a completely different topic if we're talking about like anorexia or things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should do a whole pod on that maybe. And like, talk about
it's a big topic.
Well, the constellations itself like fascinates me. I even see like, I know that, every modality kind of has to put parameters around itself, but I even see like, this is no lie. I even see a version of German new medicine when I look at like the world and for example, weather, like chemtrails or like we're getting like a big dust cloud that's like coming through. And so we are having like this weird phenomenon of like mud rain. And I'm like, oh, that's just like the cleansing of the atmosphere. Like the planet also self heals. And
Right.
how many times do we like step in, or we buy into these narratives, like getting kind of political, that we have to do that when it's like, no, we don't. So it's like, you can like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So like, if you guys want to see, you know, just body empowerment from a German New Medicine standpoint, more embodiment of yourself, more about just how to like live your life, I cannot recommend going enough to follow Brianne at Redbird Wellness. So she's at Redbird Wellness. I'll put her details like in the comments, but
yeah, thank
literally
you.
wealth of knowledge. I can't wait to do our cancer talk, friends. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it'll be a big one for sure. It's a big topic. It's a very important one though, especially with the hype. There's a huge hype. Yeah.
Huge hype. And you have your personal story in that, which is so cool, because I have like a bunch of my personal story into wellness and food, and you have a bunch of yours into cancer. So I'm like, let's totally do that. I'm so pumped. But all right, I will end this live, and then I will send this over to you and share everybody your details before my baby absolutely loses it.
Mom life.
I know. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.